You know why you're here. The video I made on Roblox YouTubers with successful games has cleared 100,000 views, with the sequel just a little behind. In a comment I made on the last installation, I stated that if that video got 1,100 likes, I would make a sequel to the prequel. Well, it took only a few days to achieve that goal, and in fact, you guys doubled it. So in today's video, we'll be covering even more successful games made by Roblox YouTubers, and make sure to stick around as the last YouTuber has over 8 successful games. Thanks once again for smashing the like goal, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. John Roblox, Tower Defense X. John Roblox is a Roblox YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers who became well known through his content on popular Roblox games Tower Defense Simulator and Arsenal. John created his channel on January 2nd, 2014 and rose to fame during the pandemic era. He would grow to be one of the biggest TDS YouTubers and was even recognized by the developers as they temporarily renamed the Militant Tower to John to honor him. He even had the privilege of uploading the Tower Defense Simulator trailer to his YouTube channel, which won a Bloxy Award for Best Game Trailer. Due to this, it's no surprise that John's first Roblox game would be a knockoff of TDS. On January 19th, 2022, John will put out an announcement on his Discord server exclaiming that he would be developing a game by the name of Tower Defense X. John would work on the game with a multitude of people, ranging from developers to game testers, so it appeared that he was putting a solid amount of effort into his game. Unlike these unsuccessful Roblox YouTuber games, TDX would take a long time to develop, starting in January 2022 with the game set to release in September that same year. Unfortunately, John would push back the release to put more time into the game, seeing as he didn't see the game as being very replayable. John would occasionally upload sneak peeks of the game to his YouTube, showing how nicely the game was coming along. The pushback would turn out to be much longer than anticipated, as the game wasn't released until November 2023. Fortunately, the game would be temporarily released on April Fool's Day 2023 before being privated again after an hour and a half. Over 5,000 people played the game during that period, all of whom got the badge TDX Player Real. And so after 6 more months of waiting, John Roblox would announce on November 14th that TDX had been delayed for the foreseeable future. Just kidding, he stated that Tower Defense X would be out in a week. And so people waited a week, and on November 21st, 2023, TDX was released to the masses. The game only had 15 towers upon release, but it was fine, seeing as the TDX towers were especially unique compared to the TDS ones. TDX had towers such as the Grenadier, Patrol Boat, the Warship, and of course, John. With that out of the way, the game seemed to be a smash hit upon release, as it accrued over 10 million visits in 4 days, while also consistently having over 10 to 20,000 players. It had easily managed to surpass TDS's concurrent player count and quickly grew to be one of the biggest tower defense simulators on Roblox. It wasn't the biggest, however, as I think we all know what game that title belongs to. Anyways, today, the game consistently averages thousands of players and shows no sign of stopping its growth. The game has been successful enough for John Roblox to have his content mainly revolve around the game, which is pretty nice. TDX is consistently updated, so unless something huge happens, this game seems too big to fail. I wish the best of luck to John and his game, so we'll now move on. Dennis, Bo Battle Arena. Dennis is an extremely popular Roblox YouTuber with over 9 million subscribers, whom we covered in the last installation over his unsuccessful game made by him and Alex Crafted. At the end of their section, I noted that Dennis had made a comeback into Roblox game development with his game Bo Battle Arena. Bo Battle Arena is a PvP game similar to Arsenal, but instead of having guns or knives, you simply have a bow. After going into the arena, you have to fight off people in a match. The person with the most kills at the end of the match wins. Through kills and wins, you collect coins, which you can use to purchase unique bows, all of which have a cool death effect. We've got the premise of the game down, now we'll talk about the game's development. As you may know, Dennis hasn't been consistent when it comes to uploading videos for the past year. In 2023, he only uploaded 9 times, and for the majority of that year, the reason for his inconsistency was unknown. He's most recently known for his apparent arrest, as a mugshot of him would float around online, with some people saying he had committed tax evasion for several years. All jokes aside, in his most recent video, uploaded on December 16th, Dennis finally explained the reasoning behind his absence. Dennis would go on to speak about how he was working on developing a game by the name of Death Bows, which he had been working on for a while. He went on about how the game had started as a project that taught him basic coding, but would turn into a fully fledged game. He wasn't developing it alone, however. He, along with 24 developers, would create the game, some of which you may know. Dennis's dev team featured prominent figures such as Jandel and Bandyroo, while also featuring YouTubers such as Flamingo and Tempest, adding to the potential of this game. While the game development time is unknown, it's clear that the game took a long time to develop. The game is pretty high quality, adding that this game's development most likely consumed most of Dennis's free time, the reason for his inconsistent uploads. Of course, this is just speculation, but there's no doubt that the game is well made. For the better part of Dennis's return video, he would showcase Deathboz's gameplay, encouraging his fans to play the game. At first, the promotion seemed to not be very effective as the game only had 70 players the day after Dennis's video, but the game would quickly pick up, and within a few days it was consistently averaging a few thousand players. This was probably because YouTuber Creecraft played the game in a video where he would talk about Dennis's disappearance. Sketch, a friend of Dennis, would also play the game a week after Creecraft, furthering the game's traction. The game hasn't been out for that long and averages thousands of players while also being updated consistently. There is a chance that this game could fail, but with the way things are going for it, I think it'll have little problem trying to maintain relevancy. It's nice to see Dennis have something that he worked on for about a year and have it be successful, and I hope it stays that way. And so with that being said, we'll now move on to our next YouTuber. Flamingo, Survival the SpongeBob the Killer. Flamingo, aka Albert, is one of the biggest Roblox YouTubers, boasting over 12 million subscribers. He's so big that his viral game became popular by accident. In February 2020, when Flamingo was seemingly at the peak of his career, he uploaded a video where he made a trash Roblox game popular through advertising. This wasn't the first time he had done something like this, as there are videos where Albert puts copious amounts of Robux into satirical games and advertisements. Around this time, you may remember that a certain type of game had become a trend around Roblox, which I'll call the Survival the games. Survival the games were a hit among Robloxians, with one of the most notable games being Survival the Jeff the Killer. Flamingo would notice that people were taking a game by the name of Survival the Hulk the Killer and repackaging it to make Hulk into different colors. In his video, Flamingo took advantage of this trend by making a survival game with SpongeBob as the killer, with the twist that SpongeBob was slightly more yellow. After taking what was probably less than an hour to develop the game, Albert would appropriately title the game Survival the SpongeBob the Killer. No one was going to play this game without proper advertising, so Albert would give his alt on which he made the game 40,000 Robux for advertising. After advertising his game with the Robux, players would quickly spill in, and within less than half an hour the game already had 200 players. Within a few hours, the game had 300 players, which left Albert dissatisfied as he expected thousands to be playing his game. 3 days later, he would return to the game only to find that thousands of people were playing, and it had become one of the most popular Roblox survival games. In his follow-up video, Albert would add a creepy underworld, trying to add a disturbing twist to the game. At a certain area on the stairs, you would fall through and be greeted by these scary looking people. After publishing the new rendition of his game, he would lure people to this underground area and try to scare them out of the game. It was pretty funny, what you would expect from a Flamingo video, but in Albert's attempt to drive people away from the game, it only became more popular. Within only a few days after the follow-up, the game had over 3,000 concurrent players and had zoomed past 5 million visits. Flamingo wouldn't make another video on the game until 10 months later in October 2020, but in May, 3 months after his videos on the game ceased, the game still had a few hundred players. This success wouldn't last forever, as by September, the game had almost died completely, having only 18 players. I wouldn't classify this as a failure, as other popular YouTubers have put much more effort into their games, but still failed. Albert's game success was pretty surprising, but everyone knew it would die eventually. Unfortunately, Albert would have to take the game down. In October, Jandel, a popular game developer and a close friend of Albert, warned him that Nickelodeon could take down his game. Albert, trying to avoid this, would replace SpongeBob's head with Sonic while also renaming the game to Survival the Sonic the Killer. While everything seemed okay after that, an archive from the 1st of November shows that the game had been content deleted. In another follow-up made in January of 2021, Albert explained that Viacom, owners of Nickelodeon, had given his game a DMCA, so Roblox had to take the game down. Viacom wasn't entirely in their right to take down the game, seeing as Albert had changed it to Sonic before they took it down. Due to this, Albert would rename his game to Survival the Viacom the Killer to poke fun at Viacom. After his video was released, Albert would make another rendition of his game but never advertised it to avoid copyright. This game has close to 50,000 visits and is much less successful, but at least it wasn't copyrighted. Survival the SpongeBob the Killer had a long run that spanned over a few months, and it was truly unfortunate to see it getting taken down. It was pretty surprising to see a game with such little effort get as popular as it did, but the trend that the game followed was pretty popular, so you shouldn't be surprised. Sub, Superhero Simulator, Pressure Wash Simulator 1 and 2, Anime Battlegrounds X, Ride a Card Simulator, Death Ball, Jerry, Kill to Save Anime Girl, and Be a Spider Simulator. Yikes, this was a very long one. I can't believe that out of all the research I did for the previous videos, I didn't find out that Sub had been running a monopoly of games. I had received only 1 or 2 comments that said I should talk about Sub, but when I discovered his games, I knew I had struck gold. So make sure to buckle up. Sub, aka Sub-Zero Extrabyte, is a YouTuber who plays a variety of games ranging from Roblox to Among Us. Sub has a variety of channels, the most notable being Sub New vs Pro and Sub's World. He's most notably known as being a member of the Pals alongside Dennis, Alex, Sketch, and Coral. But if you don't know him from any of those, there's a good chance you've played one of his Roblox games. Some of his most famous games include Superhero Simulator, Deathball, Radic Kart Simulator, and Pressure Wash Simulator. But to know how Sub created his plethora of viral games, we have to know how he started on Roblox. Sub-Zero Extrabyte, Sub for short, would create Minecraft machinimas with Sketch on their channels Sub-Zero and Sketch circa 2012. He even did work animating for YouTubers such as Sky Does Minecraft, with some of his work having millions of views. The channel would be repurposed in early 2016, however, to make Minecraft videos with Coral, Dennis, and Alex Crafted, they would rename the channel to The Pals. They would quickly switch to Roblox content as Minecraft was experiencing a heavy decline around this time. This would be the start of a run that would span over 4 years from 2016 to 2019. Sub would craft 2 games with developers during this run, Prison Escape Simulator and Superhero Simulator. Prison Escape Simulator was his debut game, which sits at a cool 11 million visits today. Pretty good for your debut game. The game was essentially mining simulator, but it took place inside of a prison. His next game, however, Superhero Simulator, was a masterpiece that garnered a ton of traction. Well, it wasn't entirely his game. He and Dennis developed the game under a group by the name of Dennis Games, but has since been renamed to Small World Games Group with Sub as the owner. Either way, the game was supposedly released on April 13th, 2019, and promotional material would be shelled out by Dennis. Sub didn't do anything to promote the game, but I doubt Dennis's videos are solely responsible for the 115 million visits it got. We also don't know if only Sub worked on the game, but if so, then Sub is a pretty talented game developer. While the game could be classified as dead today, I'd say it's a success with the 9-digit visit count it boasts. After about a year of reaping the rewards of a successful game, with the Pals disbanding in the process, Sub would release his third game, Jerry. Jerry was a horror survival game inspired by Piggy among other horror games and had significantly higher quality compared to Superhero Simulator. The game sits at 50 million visits today, albeit pretty dead, but it was successful for a good bit, so I'll add it to Sub's catalog as another success. The funny thing was, when this game was at its peak in 2020, a game by the name of Survival the Jerry the Killer would emerge that would frequently surpass the original's player count. After creating an unsuccessful game with Alex Crafted, Sub would be back in the limelight with Be a Spider Tycoon, a self-explanatory game. After that, Sub was on a roll. He would release 4 successful games in a row, with those games being Pressure Wash Simulator, Anime Battlegrounds X, Pressure Wash Simulator 2, and Kill to Save Anime Girl. The streak would end when Sub collaborated with the popular Broadway show Hamilton to make Hamilton Simulator, which only has 4 million visits. By the time this had happened, it was April 2023, and Sub had come a long way in game development. After Anime Battlegrounds Y failed with only 3 million visits, Sub would release Murderers vs Sheriffs, which only has 12 million visits but averages a couple hundred players these days. Sub would then release his 4th mid-game in a row with Spider Swarm Simulator. Despite the lack of success, Sub didn't let this get him down, as he had a resurgence with Radic Kart Simulator, released a couple of months ago. The game frequently has thousands of players playing it, despite the premise of the game being pretty simple. In early November, he released his most recent as well as most popular game yet, Deathball. The game was essentially Blade Ball but with anime involved, where you would fight in an arena with people deflecting a ball back and forth. Despite this game being somewhat of a knockoff, it was an immediate success, getting tens of thousands of players following release, having close to 250 million visits. Sub, along with these other people, certainly shows what it takes to make successful Roblox games. Game developers, you should take notes from these YouTubers, and remember, with enough talent, you can make a popular Roblox game.